Hello, I'm Elena. I remember sitting in an orphanage's dimly lit office the day my life changed. At the age of 7, I was holding a frayed teddy bear and experiencing immense weight on my little shoulders. With a creak, the door opened, and Mr. and Mrs. Thompson, my prospective adoptive parents, came inside. I had no idea at the time how drastically my life would soon alter due to them. Saying, "Hello, Elena," Mrs. Thompson said softly, like to a warm blanket. Her eyes were welcoming and friendly as she knelt in front of me. Unsure, I glanced skyward. "Hi," I said, clutching my teddy more firmly. She was joined by Mr. Thompson, a tall guy with a reassuring grin. He said, "We've heard so much about you. We've been looking forward to meeting you." I was at a loss for words. I knew not to anticipate too much from my past experiences. With a combination of terror and hope, my voice was almost audible as I said, "Are you going to take me home?" "Yes, Elena," Mrs. Thompson said, softly putting out her hand to clasp mine. "We want you to be a part of our family." The trip to their house passed in a flurry of skyscrapers and busy streets. I recall feeling like a character from a fairy tale when I arrived at this big, intimidating home. Everything seemed much too real. Mrs. Thompson smiled comfortingly at me as we went inside. "You'll have your room, Elena. You can decorate it however you like." Mr. Thompson gave a giggle. "And wait till you see the garden. It's got a swing and a place to plant flowers." I had a twinge of worry in addition to a little spark of joy. I hesitantly questioned, "Will I go to a new school?" "Absolutely, and we believe you'll adore it," Mrs. Thompson said. "There are lots of kids to play with and lots to learn." Though I was interested by this new world, I missed the comforting noises of the orphanage. "What would you like to do today, Elena?" Mr. Thompson questioned her at breakfast the next morning. I gave a shrug. "I don't know. What do kids do here?" Mrs. Thompson chuckled softly. "Whatever they want. We could go for a walk, visit the library, or you could help me bake some cookies." Bake cookies? I had never done it before. It made me grin to think about it. She said, "Yes," with sparkling eyes. "Chocolate chip cookies, your favorite." I felt a warm sensation in my chest as I nodded. I felt a ray of optimism for the first time in a long time, a feeling that maybe, just maybe, things may be nice in life once again. And that's how my new beginning began, not with grandiose gestures, but with a family that wanted me and the promise of chocolate chip cookies. My adoptive parents, Anna and John, put me in a top school where I flourished under their tutelage and care shortly after they adopted me. I was ready to start a new chapter in my life and took with me the courage and confidence they had given me when I arrived on a university campus years later. I can still see my heart racing with a mixture of excitement and anxiety as I strolled around the busy campus of my institution in New York. The rustling of fall leaves and the buzz of students filled the warm September morning air. I saw a young guy with a cool grin and perceptive eyes as soon as I took a seat in the packed lecture hall. Daniel was his name, he said. He held out his hand and said, "Hey, I'm Daniel." "The first year?" "Indeed. My name is Elena. Isn't it all a little overwhelming?" Shaking his hand in return, I said. Laughing, Daniel said, "Tell me about it." "Here, I feel like a little fish in a large pond." We connected right away since we loved classic literature and had similar majors. We enjoyed easygoing talks, and I sensed a connection between us that I had never felt before. "Elena, would you like to grab dinner with me this Friday?" Daniel inquired, looking up from his studies one day while they were studying at the library. "I know of this nice little Italian restaurant." My cheeks began to flush. I tried to sound casual, but my heart was pounding. "I'd love to," I said. We had a great time telling tales and laughing over supper. Daniel narrated stories of his upbringing, saying, "My parents are real personalities. Dad is always engrossed in his work, while Mom is quite the social butterfly. How about you?" His curious eyes gleamed as he said, "Tell me about your family." I took a time to consider how much to share. When I was little, a kind couple adopted me. I chose to keep the specifics of my parents' money to myself, but I did say, "They've given me a life filled with love and opportunities." Daniel remarked, "That sounds amazing," and reached across the table to put a comforting hand around my own. "I hope to meet them sometime soon." Daniel helped me walk to my hostel as the evening was coming to an end. "Elena, I had a fantastic time tonight. Shall we try this again shortly?" With a nod, I said, "Yes, please." For me, my time at the university in New York was a mix of thrilling and intimidating events. However, in the middle of the mayhem of homework and tests, my friendship with Daniel sprung off like a rare winter bloom. He provided me with a peaceful haven away from the relentless pace of school. The sharpness of impending winter infused the air as we strolled over the campus one evening, Daniel's hand in mine. Our route was illuminated with a lovely color by the amber glow of the lamps. I stammered into the cozy stillness. "Daniel, have you thought about how your family will react to us?" "Elena, I won't lie. My family can be challenging, but they'll see what I see in you," he said, giving me a gentle grip on the hand. Even though his comments were comforting, I felt a knot in my gut. "But your family's so distinguished, and I'm just, well, me." Daniel came to a halt and looked at me with a sincere gaze. "Elena, you're extraordinary. That's all they need to know." Daniel asked me to a family dinner the next weekend. My heart pounded like a drum in my chest as I stood at the magnificent Sullivan residence's doorstep, I recall. The sound of clinking silverware and chatting people enveloped us as we walked in. Daniel brought me to the dining room, where a large, beautifully laid table awaited me. George and Catherine Sullivan, his parents, were seated at the head of the table. Their stare at me seemed like an implicit condemnation. "Mom, Dad, let me introduce myself. This is Elena." Daniel grinned. George Sullivan, a serious-looking guy, gave a little nod. "Welcome, Elena." But Catherine Sullivan regarded me with great disinterest. "So, you're the young lady Daniel's been spending his time with." A flush began to appear on my cheeks. "Yes, Mrs. Sullivan. It's an honor to meet you both." Dinner was a dance of kind grins and uneasy exchanges. I could sense the pressure of their demands and the silent contrasts between their and my worlds. Catherine once asked Elena, "So, what do your parents do?" Feeling Daniel's fingers tighten around mine under the table, I paused. They passed away when I was young. I grew up in a different kind of environment. There was a noticeable change in the atmosphere. "I see. Well, adversity builds character, they say," George said, clearing his mouth. The remainder of the evening was a haze of forced emotions and shallow conversation. Daniel said in a low voice as we were leaving, "I'm sorry, Elena. They can be a bit much." I forced a grin on my face, but I was becoming uncomfortable inside. My world and Daniel's seemed like worlds apart. Nevertheless, I held on to the belief that love would be sufficient to heal the rift. Our wedding was a short reprieve, a happy day in the middle of mounting stress, as I battled Daniel's family's icy attitude and tried to find my place in their exclusive world. The happiness wasn't long-lasting either, since I soon saw Daniel start to exhibit the biases of his family. The faint murmur of conversation and the clinking of fine china seemed far away as I sat at the neatly laid table. Daniel was talking animatedly with his mother Paula across from me, who would sometimes give me a snide look. I made many attempts to interact, but each time it seemed like pushing up against an immovable wall. At last, Paula turned to me, her sneer hardly concealed. "So, Elena, tell us about your family," she began, using the derogatory term family throughout. As I cleared my throat, I felt Daniel's hand beneath the table gently grip mine. Trying to maintain my composure, I said, "Well, I was adopted by a wonderful couple. They've given me a life filled with love and opportunities." Daniel's father, Marley, said with penetrating eyes, "And what did your adoptive parents do for a living?" As I remarked, "They're entrepreneurs." Daniel became uncomfortable next to me. "Ah, entrepreneurs," Marley said, giving Paula a sly glance. "Quite a vague term these days, isn't it?" A knot formed in my gut. In an attempt to sidestep their criticism, I said, "They've been quite successful in their ventures." Paula let out a chilly, derisive chuckle. "Oh dear, success is relative, isn't it? In our circles, success means influence, power, legacy, not just money." With a blush of humiliation, I bit my lip. At last, Daniel raised a solid voice in speech. "Mother, that's enough. Elena is my chosen partner, and I expect you to respect her." Paula squinted her eyes. "Daniel, we're just trying to understand the kind of woman you've decided to marry. It's our right to be concerned about the family legacy." The talk was getting out of control, and I was itching to get away. My voice trembled a little as I continued. "I don't think my background should be a matter of debate or judgment," Marley added, his voice acerbic. "It's not just about your background, Elena. It's about fitting into a certain standard, a standard that you, quite frankly, don't seem to meet." My eyes ached with tears, but I forced them away. "I believe I should be judged by my character, not my family's bank account or social status." Daniel tightened his hold on my hand. "That's enough, Father. If you can't respect Elena, then maybe we should reconsider our participation in these family gatherings." The only sound that shattered the silence across the table was Paula's mocking snort. "Well, if that's how you feel, Daniel, maybe you should think about where your loyalties lie." That's when I got up, my chair squeaking noisily on the ground. With my voice hardly audible above a whisper, I murmured, "I think it's best if I leave." Daniel got up beside me, his eyes displaying a mixture of worry and rage. "Elena, wait. I'm sorry. They're out of line." However, as I was leaving, I could still hear Daniel's family's whispers and moans in my ears. My heart was hurting as I ran out of the room, not only for me, but also for the love that bigotry and pride were tearing apart. Sitting opposite me were my adopted parents, Jonathan and Anna, as I relaxed in the calm comfort of my living room, the twilight light creating long shadows over the floor. They seemed concerned and determined at the same time. Jonathan said, "Darling, we think it's time," in a calm but kind voice. I questioned, a knot rising in my breast. "Time for what?" Anna grasped my hand by reaching across. "Time to tell Daniel and his family about us, about your background." Anxiety rushing through me, I shook my head and said, "Why now? They've already made up their minds about me." Jonathan firmly said, "It's about you owning your story, Elena. It's not about them. You're not just an orphan we took in. You're our daughter, raised with love and privilege. They need to see the whole picture." "However, they'll believe I've been dishonest," I objected. Anna gave me a tight squeeze. "Let them think what they want. It's the truth, and it's high time they knew it." We ended up to Daniel's family estate the next evening. As we were led into the lavish living room where Daniel and his parents, George and Catherine, were waiting for us, the atmosphere was charged with suspense. George said, "Jonathan, Anna, what a surprise," in a somewhat suspicious tone as he welcomed us. Jonathan gave a nod. We felt it was important to have a conversation. Eleanor's gaze became strained. "Regarding," Anna said, "it's about Elena," in a firm voice. "There's something about her past that you don't know." Daniel gave me a confused expression as he peered at me. "Elena, what's going on?" I inhaled deeply. "I was adopted by Jonathan and Anna when I was very young. They're not just any couple. They're quite well known in their field and well off." George and Catherine looked at each other. Curiosity piqued. "Well off?" George asked in return. "Yes," Jonathan said in response. "We've raised Elena in a world of opportunity and affluence. She didn't tell you because she wanted to be liked for who she is, not for her family's wealth." Catherine's expression changed, displaying a mixture of shame and surprise. "You mean to say Elena is—" With a steady stare, Anna said, "Yes, she's a member of our family, our daughter in every way that matters." Daniel turned to face me, a look of remorse mixed with astonishment. "Elena, why didn't you tell me?" I gazed at him, feeling a sad heart. "I wanted to be enough for you, for your family, as just me." not as someone with a wealthy background. A heaviness, awkward pause, and stillness descended over the room. When Catherine did speak, it was in a quieter tone. We may have misjudged you, Elena. George nodded slowly, his face showing reflection. It seems we owe you an apology. I looked at Daniel, expecting to see comprehension, but there was nothing to read on his face. At that moment, I understood that the discovery had fundamentally altered our relationship, and I also sensed that the future was unclear. But with the truth being out in the open, I felt a weight lifted off my shoulders. After my actual history was revealed, the days that followed were like traveling through a dense mist of pain and bewilderment. What was once our bedroom, now just mine, saw the morning light creep through the blinds. With the divorce papers still sealed on the dresser, I perched on the side of the bed. A gentle tapping on the door was heard. It was my adopted mother, Anna. "Elena, may I come in?" she said. "Yes, Mother," I said, my voice hardly audible above a whisper. Anna came in, anxiety and resolve mixed together in her gaze. She took my hand in hers and sat next to me. "How are you holding up, sweetheart?" I shrugged, realizing how lonely I was going to be. "I don't know, Mom. It all feels so surreal. Did I make the right decision?" "Elena, you've always been strong and wise beyond your years. Remember, choosing to respect yourself is never the wrong decision," Anna added with a smile. I felt the weight of the divorce papers, as if they contained all the sorrow in the world as I lifted them up. I just never imagined it would come to this. Daniel and I, we were supposed to be a team. Anna gave me a tight squeeze. "Sometimes, love isn't enough, especially when it costs you your peace and dignity. I've seen how much you've tried, Elena." Once again, the door opened and Jonathan, my adopted father, entered. His normally cheerful expression had become somber. "Elena, your lawyer called. They need you to review and sign the papers today." A lump appeared in my throat as I nodded. "I know. I need a moment." "Elena, you're not alone in this. We're here for you, every step of the way," said Jonathan, who was sitting across from me. I glanced between my parents, their expressions a tribute to their unwavering support and affection. I just don't understand how Daniel could change so suddenly. He was always my protector, my confidant. People change, Elena, sometimes in ways we can't comprehend. But remember, you have your own strength, and you've always had it," Jonathan said. As I unfurled the sheets, the writing seemed hazy. "I guess this is it then, the end of one chapter and the beginning of another." Anna wrapped her arms around me. "It's going to be a tough journey, but you're not alone. We'll get through this together." I inhaled deeply before picking up the pen. Every blow seemed like shutting a door on a painful and loving past. I sealed my choice with my signature. Jonathan got to his feet. "I'll take these to your lawyer. You should rest, Elena." I stared out the window as they departed the room. Everything within had altered, even if the outer world seemed to be the same. I was setting off on a new journey, hoping it would take me back to my true self and the life I really deserve. I was sorely in need of a break after the chaos of my divorce. That's how I ended myself traveling to Italy on a plane with my adoptive parents, who had grown to be my rock. The bright Mediterranean light was a welcome change from the gray days I had been experiencing. My mother's words, "Sweetheart, you look like you're a million miles away," brought me back to the present as we were sitting in a charming cafe with a view of the Amalfi Coast. I forced a faint grin. "Just thinking about everything, Mom. It's been a lot." My father leaned across the table and covered my hand with his. "Elena, this is more than just a vacation. It's a chance for you to heal, to rediscover yourself." As I sipped my espresso, I nodded. "I know, Dad. It's just hard to shake off the past few months." "That's understandable," Mom said, empathy shining in her eyes. "But remember, this is a new chapter, one where you get to write the script." A server came over and refilled our glasses. A calming atmosphere was created by the scent of freshly brewed coffee mingling with the salty sea air. "Dad? Mom?" I said tentatively. "I've been thinking about what you said about writing my own script. I want to start over, maybe go back to school or start a business. They shared a proud glance. Dad said, "That's wonderful, Elena. You've always had a sharp mind for business. What's on your mind?" "I'm not sure yet, but I want to do something meaningful, something that makes a difference." My mother gave me a tight squeeze. "You have so much potential, darling. Whatever path you choose, we'll be right here, supporting you." I felt lighter in the heart as we strolled along the cobblestone streets after leaving the cafe. It seemed like a feeling of potential and optimism was gradually replacing the weight of my unhappy marriage. Saying, "Look at this view," I paused to take in the sun lowering over the turquoise seas. "It's stunning," Mom agreed, "but not as beautiful as the future you're going to build." Those were words that spoke to me. I came to understand that my tale did not finish with my marriage. It was only a diversion from my path. For the first time in months, I was really laughing that night when we ate dinner outside. With love and support all around me, I knew I was headed toward recovery. It wouldn't be an easy path, but I was rediscovering the Elena who could handle the world with poise and confidence with every step. I was standing on our villa's balcony, gazing out over Santorini's tranquil beaches. The water was becoming golden as the sun began to set. John and Anna, my parents, came to join me, their grins beaming with joy. Anna said, her eyes mirroring the hues of the horizon, "Beautiful, isn't it?" I said, "It's stunning," my heart exploding with a tranquility I hadn't had in a long time. John encircled Anna with an arm. "Elena, we're so proud of how you've handled everything. You've grown so much." A warm tear began to trickle down my face as I grinned. "Thanks, Dad. It wasn't easy, but I feel stronger now. More myself. To be true to yourself is all we ever wanted for you." Anna embraced me. I felt my parents' strength and affection as I leaned into their arms. "I've been thinking a lot about what's next for me. I want to start fresh, maybe focus on my writing." "That sounds really good," John urged. "You always had a way with words." With a playful twinkle in her eyes, Anna questioned softly, "And what about love?" I chuckled quietly. "For now, I'm in love with life, with discovery. Maybe one day, love will find me again, but on my terms." John gave a nod of affirmation. "That's the spirit. You deserve someone who respects and loves you for who you are." Above us, the sky became darker, and the stars started to glimmer. I was relieved and ready to welcome whatever was coming next. "To fresh starts," raised her glass Anna. "To new beginnings," I said in a steady, upbeat voice. I realized this was more than just a toast when our glasses clinked. It was a pledge to myself to live fearlessly, really, and to always remember how valuable I am. Santorini was more than simply a vacation destination. It was a representation of my new, limitless future.